Hello everyone, welcome back to Planet Coaster 2, welcome back to Ancient Realm, and in today's episode we're going to be working on this sort of area of the queue line and the outdoor part of the log flume ride, just polishing off this sort of area of the park. Just a short episode today, 10 minutes or so of footage, because it didn't really take that long to do this area, and I felt I got quite a lot achieved in quite a short space of time, which is good. And it means we can move on to another part of the ride. So to start with then, I'm just sorting out some of the walls and how the layout of this area is going to work out. You see I've tried my hand at doing a waterfall as well. Not realistic at all, but it's just sort of to give the imitation that some water is pouring down from the track. This is one of the parts of the ride that you will sort of see from the queue line, although you can't see the actual track itself. I guess you'll see the log flume train and the people in it as it goes past, and then yeah, it just looks like we've got a sort of splash effect coming off the ride. Then I had a little open space here. I thought I'd put a bit of queue line theming, so just really basic stuff like baskets and crates, and I had a look at some of the plants and stuff that we've got like that as well, so I decided to put a plant in there, which I thought was quite fun. Make this area a little bit overgrown as well, with some bushes and some light foliage, and then doing my favourite wall decals with the moss and everything, just to polish it off. Nothing too crazy there. This part of the queue line is just going to be very straightforward cattle pen with no theming, just lighting on the wall and wall decals. Because when you've got a long queue line like this, there are going to be parts that aren't as heavily themed. And we had quite a small space to build in really, so the only place for theming would have been on the wall, and I didn't really want to do anything like that. Just wanted to get on with it. So you just go through this cattle pen bit, which I can imagine sort of if it was a quieter day at the park, they would probably open one of the fences. You'd probably have a bit of rope there or something, and you could just skip through and not do that bit of the cattle pen. But for this build, we're just going to leave it in because it's fine. And then I was able to start covering parts of this queue line up with the roof, and to be very, very careful because of the clearance on the various levels of log flume track. It's all very tight together, but we had enough room just about for clearance. There's no headbanging that will take place on the ride, and yeah, just polishing off bits like that. A lot of the build when I'm doing stuff like this is just trying to neaten up any areas where stuff is likely to clip through or stuff just doesn't match up right, and it's quite frustrating to do, to be honest. I've mentioned it before, but when you're doing a dark ride you should probably plan ahead a little bit better so that you don't end up having to work like this. But yeah, with that said, all that sort of area is now complete, and we're moving on to the outside section. So firstly I wanted a door. This was just an entrance for the queue line as it comes out for the outside section and then back in. So I actually used a different piece that I have not used yet, which is, I believe, a mythology wall piece or bracket or whatever it is, but it looks quite cool and fits in with this theme, so I use that. The next thing I work on is a set of rotating doors for the log flume to go back into the final dark ride section, obviously using these moving platforms again. At this point I was still learning how to do this, but every time I worked with a moving platform I was able to do it a little bit quicker and get the hang of it more. Now I'd consider myself an intermediate at using these moving doors, and for me that was enough to go and put a tutorial up on YouTube for moving doors and using the moving platform. But I do think it's a really cool thing that we can now do in the game. I absolutely love using this rotating piece. It just makes my builds come to life a bit more, and yeah, having more of that kinetic energy in the build really works out well. So yeah, now you can see I've got the doors in place, and then I just needed to make a trim around the edge to cover them up. I decided to make a circular tower type thing. Well, not a tower, but you know, circular thing to cover up any of the messiness with the walls, and put those on either side, and then just use my favourite trim piece in the middle to cover up the door. I also use these mythology brackets again. Definitely need to use more of these in the build, get them in more prominent places, because they actually work really well, I think, with the theming that we've got going on here. Anything can sort of work anywhere if it's coloured correctly, and if it's the right material, and I think this is. So yeah, with that, that's the door complete for the entrance, and I move on to just working a little bit more around this area. Here I'm doing some sort of wall around the edge of the queue line. I mean, it really is only a short section of queue that comes out into this outdoor section. I just thought it'd make the queue line a bit more interesting, laying it out like this. So that's what we end up doing, and then having to use custom floor bits to cover everything up there. That's fine. Then I'm working a little bit on some of the wall section around the ride that you'll see. Keep it very straightforward, and just stick a couple of decals on that wall and call it a day. I then felt like we needed something for the middle of this queue line section as you walk around, so I thought a couple of plants and then one pot that's been knocked over, just to give it a little bit more character. Looked like maybe this temple's been ransacked or something like that. Next thing I work on, I found this quite frustrating actually, doing some custom rock work, well not custom really, but some rock work for the edge of the log flume to hide the sort of log flume sides, I guess. I don't know what you call them. Yeah, sides, to hide the sides of the log flume. And I don't know if I'll do this all around the outside section. I just did it up to sort of the bit that we're working on at the moment, because I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the rest of the outside section yet. Obviously there's going to be a lot of path interaction, and it's very visible from the front of the ride, so it needs to look good. So that's pretty much it for today's build. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!